What is going on, people? TripleM back again with another video. It's daily dose of football content, and today I've got a very short and sweet video for you guys discussing Chelsea and reflecting on where I think they are at the moment as a football club and just my general opinions about them. Now, I have spoken at length about Graham Potter and the sacking of Thomas Tuchel, which seemingly surprised everyone, so I'm not going to talk about the managerial situation. Instead, I'm going to focus specifically on how the ownership group have conducted themselves upon their arrival at Stamford Bridge and speak about the transfers. So let's start by looking at the transfers, because there's a lot of people who have prematurely drawn up conclusions about Kalidou Koulibaly. They're basically saying things like, well, you know, if Chelsea had signed him 3 years ago, he would have been a great player. But I think now he's past it. You have to ask yourself the question, why did no genuinely world-class team and elite team want Kalidou Koulibaly up until now? That must be a sign that he's not that good. That must be a sign that he's injury-prone. That must be a sign that he's not particularly great in terms of his overall quality. And it's just a load of nonsense, because I genuinely believe that Kalidou Koulibaly is a fantastic centre-back. This myth that if a player is not doing it in the Premier League, therefore they can't be good, needs to be abolished. Seriously, it's honestly embarrassing at this point. Now, Kalidou Koulibaly might turn out to be a bad signing, but this is just my opinion. I think he will be a great signing. And whilst Chelsea's performances in the opening 7 games of the season, including the Champions League game, have not been great, I still think there's extenuating circumstances for that. I think we have a natural habit as human beings to overanalyze individual performances and not apply the context of how has this team been performing for the last year. What are the structural issues in this defense? What are the issues in this defense that have caused other players to diminish in quality? And is the same thing happening to Kalidou Koulibaly? Or am I just being overreactionary? You know, people don't ask themselves those questions enough. And in the case of Koulibaly, I don't think he's been the issue at Chelsea. Yes, he's put in a lot of subpar performances upon his arrival, but I think there will be an improvement once Graham Potter comes in. Anyways, in terms of him as a player, why I rate him so highly is because even though he doesn't have the pace and the agility that you would expect of a Premier League defender, he can read the game. And similar to Thiago Silva, he's somebody who's able to position himself adequately enough so that he can prepare himself for the danger. Right? He's just an elite defender when it comes to positional awareness and knowing where to be. So he doesn't need to be that quick. And also, if he has a quick defender next to him, that's not an issue, because then they complement each other. One is quick, one is aggressive, one is able to drift off and drift out of position because they know they have the recovery pace to come back, and then he can just hold. He can be the deep guy. He can be the intelligent guy. He can be the leader who says, I'm going to hold the line. You can go ahead and be aggressive. That's how defenses are supposed to work. It's a partnership. You're not supposed to have 5 perfect defenders. I know most teams would want 5 perfect defenders, but that's just not realistic. So you take what you can get. You take a slow defender who perhaps is great in other areas, and you pair him with a quick and aggressive defender, and that's your partnership, right? And in a back 3, obviously, it's a little bit different and a little bit more complicated, but you get the point. I think he'll be a great signing. Wesley Fafana, speaking about pace and speaking about agility, is somebody who has that in abundance. And like Kalidou Koulibaly, like Thiago Silva, he's somebody who is known for being able to read the game. Now, he's not as experienced and seasoned as them, so he is prone to making mistakes. He is prone to getting caught out of position, but because of his recovery pace and his agility, he's able to recover more times than not, right? And so Wesley Fafana, I think, is a well-rounded defender. He's good in the air, right? He's got a good vertical leap, and I think just in general, he's got a good head on his shoulders. So under the guidance of Thiago Silva, under the guidance of someone like Kalidou Koulibaly, and of course the manager Graham Potter, I think Wesley Fafana is going to turn into an absolute monster at Stamford Bridge. I must be honest, I was very reluctant to give my comments early on about Wesley Fafana, because when he initially signed for Chelsea, I couldn't believe the price tag. I thought it was too much. I thought they genuinely overpaid. But upon reflection, I realized that if Chelsea play well, nobody's going to bring up the price tag. If Chelsea genuinely play well, they keep more clean sheets, and they genuinely are not hemorrhaging goals, and they look like a good team, and they look like a unit, and they look solid at the back, nobody's going to mention the price tag. And so I don't think Wesley Fofana's price tag is relevant as long as he performs. You know, that's all I'll say on him. Moving on, Marc Cucadea. This is a player who's obviously played under Graham Potter, and a lot of people in the Premier League seem to like Marc Cucadea, and for good reason. He's somebody who has a great tactical understanding of the game, much like Fafana, much like Koulibaly. He can read the game really well, but he has this explosive pace. He's got a low center of gravity. He can put in a good cross. So going forward, he can offer a lot for Chelsea. And in addition to all of those things there, he can put a tackle in. He can be a bit aggressive when he wants to. He can have a bit of a character that you need in your back line. So I think that Marc Cucadea, alongside Ben Chilwell, alongside Reece James, is an excellent addition to Chelsea's full-back line. And they now have an extra option. And Chelsea, obviously, much like Brighton, rely a lot on their fullbacks. In fact, I would say Chelsea more so rely on wingbacks like a lot than any other team in the league, because I feel like when Reece James is injured or Chilwell is injured, you see a different version of Chelsea. And then as soon as those two come back, especially under Thomas Tuchel, you saw a Chelsea that could actually win the Champions League, a Chelsea that could actually win the Super Cup, a Chelsea that could actually win the Club World Cup. As soon as those two are out of the fray, things fall apart. So I think adding Cucadea makes a lot of sense considering what Chelsea's current strengths are. And it's a fantastic signing all around. I've got nothing bad to say about that. Sterling. Let's talk about him, because I made a video about Raheem Sterling when he was about to sign for Chelsea, when we got the Here We Go from Fabrizio Romano, and I was away from home, so the quality wasn't really that great, and I didn't have my mic, I didn't have my camera yet, but anyways, that's irrelevant. I said that I don't think Sterling is world-class, and I still don't think Sterling is world-class, and as soon as you say that, people click off the video, people unsubscribe, people unfollow, people say, how can you say that? You don't know ball, bruv, you don't know ball. But no, seriously, I don't think he's world-class, and I don't think that's a terrible thing to say. I just think that people have different definitions of what the word world-class means. To me, world-class is Messi. World-class is Ronaldo. They are at the top of that world-class bracket. They are at the ceiling, at the pinnacle of that world-class bracket. And then at the lower end of the bracket, you've got Hazard. Prime Hazard at Chelsea. Okay, relax. I'm not talking about Hazard at Real Madrid, who's eating McDonald's, according to the stereotypes on Twitter and the memes. But no, I'm not talking about that version of Hazard. For me, it's prime Bale. It's prime Neymar when he was at Barcelona, a part of S&M. You know, like Alexis Sanchez at Chelsea. That's world class, because week in, week out, you are putting in damn near 9 out of 10 performances. I did not see that with Raheem Sterling. And by the way, this is not me saying he's trash. This is not me saying he's a bad player. I think he's a very good player. I just don't think he's world class. I think he's like just below that. You know, and that's not a bad thing. Like, I think he's a genuinely excellent signing for Chelsea, and I have no doubt he'll go in a scoring streak now after this because of the powers of the jinx and just how it is with my footballing opinions. But no, I think he's a good signing, and I've got nothing else to say about it. I just think that Chelsea need to stop focusing so much on signing number 9s and signing wingers, and they actually need to fix their midfield. They actually need to fix their identity as a team and how they build up and the type of chances they create, how many people they push into the box, instead of just signing marquee players up front and expecting them to replace Hazard or expecting them to come in and replace Diego Costa. I just think Chelsea are ignoring the bigger picture. So, you know, that's just my little unpopular take of the day. And on that note, let's talk about Aubameyang, because I don't think Aubameyang solves Chelsea's issues. I think he'll score goals, but how many goals? And for how long? Because he's not getting any younger. And unlike Kalidou Koulibaly, he's a striker, not a centre-back. I think when you're a striker, your ability tends to diminish a lot more when you get older. Now, I know people will bring up examples like Karim Benzema, Robert Lewandowski, and many others to say, well, you're wrong. You know, so sports science has shown us that it's actually easier for players to play late into their 30s now, especially strikers. There's many examples around the world of strikers playing at that level. Yeah, maybe there is, but Aubameyang's not that guy. Aubameyang got sold by Barcelona a season after they bought him. Look at how it ended at Arsenal as well. Like, there's a genuine decline in Aubameyang's career that has been well documented over the last, I want to say, 24 months. And so using Karim Benzema and Robert Lewandowski and whoever else you want to use as an example to rebuttal my point or my argument doesn't make sense, because we're not talking about Benzema, we're not talking about Lewandowski, we're talking about Aubameyang. And Aubameyang over the last 2 years has not been that great. And I don't think he's suddenly going to turn into Robert Lewandowski overnight, unless Chelsea fixed their midfield and Chelsea fixed the way that they play as a team and how they build up and how they create chances. I don't think signing a number 9, a marquee number 9 every season and hoping for the best and just crossing your fingers is going to change the curse for Chelsea. I think they genuinely need to fix their build-up play. They genuinely need to find a midfield that is balanced and that actually knows how to progress the ball up the field consistently, not just in moments, not just in spells, consistently across 90 minutes, okay? And then get a wing pair that balances and complements that midfield and can create high-quality chances for a number 9 who is in the mold of someone like Aubameyang. That's just my opinion. So again, I'm not criticizing him as a player. I'm not saying that he's awful or he's trash or he's this or he's that. I think he will score goals. It's just a question of how much and for how long, because it doesn't seem like a very long-term signing and it doesn't seem like a very well-planned signing. Speaking of plans, that brings me to the last talking point of the video, Chelsea's ownership. A lot of people have said that Chelsea's ownership have been very desperate and they've been very ill-planned this window, and just basically that Chelsea are in turmoil and chaos, and that we could see a Glazers 2.0 situation happening. And honestly, it's not beyond the realms of possibility, but I tend to disagree. I think, first of all, it's too early to judge anyways and draw that conclusion anyways, but for the sake of giving an opinion and not sitting on the fence and accumulating splinters up my arse, I'm going to give an opinion and say I actually think Chelsea are going to be all right. There you go. Unpopular opinion for the day. I think Chelsea are going to be all right. I think Chelsea are going to be just fine under their new ownership. I think they'll continue to win trophies. Whether or not they'll win another Champions League, I don't know. I think it's going to take them a very long time to do that again. Whether or not they can win a Premier League, tough. We'll see what Graham Potter's able to do, but he's not a magician. They do need to change a few things structurally. They do need to hire a director of football. They do need to get people in the transfer department or the recruitment department, whatever you want to call it. They do need to change and structure things from top to bottom. And as long as they do that, they will be just fine. In terms of the whole argument of Todd Boehly, there was this thing going on early on in the transfer window, people saying that Todd Boehly is not experienced, he's never managed in a European sport or never owned a club or run a football club in his entire life, and that he's being very naive in the way that he's doing his business and kind of being so open and abrupt to the press. I don't really think that matters that much. I don't really think it matters, if I'm being completely honest. I think Chelsea obviously got embarrassed a lot in this transfer window and lost out to a lot of key players, especially to Barcelona, like Rafinha as an example. But I don't think that had anything to do with Boehly leaking stuff to the press or being open about his intentions. I just don't think it matters. But that's just me. Anyways, I'm waffling at this point, so I'm going to end the video. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Leave a like on the video to support the channel and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Peace.